My name is Martin Rooney and I'm the director of the Parisi Speed School. Today I am proud to introduce the Parisi Training Method video series. This first video in that series is what we consider the most important component, the Parisi warm-up method. Warming up in sport is one of the most abused forms of training. Unfortunately, most athletes feel that slow static stretching and warming up are often the same thing, which is untrue. Science has shown us that slow static stretching actually can shut down the nervous system and predispose the athlete for injury. Now imagine a warm-up that can make you stronger, faster, more flexible, improve your balance and your coordination, your endurance, and improve your running technique. Well, that is exactly what we're going to cover today. So let's get started. Many of the athletes that you might be working with may have a general lack of fitness. Their strength and speed levels may be decreased. Their flexibility, endurance, and balance may be poor. They may be running with improper running form as well. And you might be saying to yourself, where am I going to start with this athlete? Where do I begin? Well, where we begin at the Parisi Speed School is with the Parisi warm-up method. This method is a series of ground-based calisthenics that keeps the athlete moving through the entire warm-up session. Now, you may think when you watch this video that it looks like these athletes are just running and jumping about, but there are many purposes behind all of the exercises that we do here. The Parisi warm-up method prepares an athlete for the running, jumping, and changing direction that takes place out on the sports field. It does this by specifically addressing biomotor abilities such as speed, strength, power, flexibility, endurance, neuromuscular coordination, and joint stabilization. In addition to these abilities, it also increases an athlete's core muscle temperature and core body temperature. When this occurs, an athlete has a better chance for ensured performance and a decreased chance of injury. There are 4 key concepts that we'd like you to remember when performing the Parisi warm-up method. The first is that we'd like you to always remember to move through a complete range of motion on all the exercises that you select. The second is that we'd like you to remember that there is an inverse relationship between the quality and the intensity of the exercises that you perform. This means that we want you to begin by learning the exercises slowly and perfectly before ever trying to do them faster or harder. The third key concept is that we want you to be able to perform the exercises equally on each side. Many athletes have a problem with this and just try to do the best of your ability to be able to do things equally on both sides of your body. And finally, the most important piece is that you have to stay continuous all year round with the warm-up. This is the only way that you're going to lead yourself to optimal performance.
This exercise is called the prisoner squat. What we want to do is get blood flow throughout the body, raise the body's core temperature. We're going to start off with hands behind the head. We're going to sit back and you're going to imagine there's a chair behind you about a foot or two and you're going to sit right into that chair. You're going to keep the back flat, butt back, and down. So we're going to do a couple reps. Up, down, back is nice and flat. Buttocks is back, feet are shoulder width apart. The toes are exactly in front of the knees. The knees come out to about the toe distance. Next exercise is a jumping jack. Many people think a jumping jack is just a regular warm-up exercise. Here we use the jumping jack to help improve technique. First thing we're going to address is foot action. We want to make sure the foot is cocked in the up position, toe up, known as dorsiflexion, and Martin's going to show that. So we want the toe in the up position the whole time. We want to stay on the balls of the feet. We want full extension at the arms, knees are locked. Do a jumping jack. Balls of the feet, toes are up, bouncing on and off the ground, full extension at the elbow, full range of motion, very important. Next exercise is similar to a jumping jack. It's called a seal jump. Arms are going to be out, fully extended. We're going to stay on the balls of the feet, and we're going to do a jumping jack action with the hands coming forward and back, stretching the shoulder and loosening up the Achilles as well. Seal jumps. This next exercise is called the fling. It involves a little bit more coordination. We're going to cross the legs in front of the body and cross the arms. We're going to get the body moving in a little bit of a lateral movement here, the direction, lateral direction. next exercise, we're going to focus on the Achilles and the ankle complex. What we're going to do is an exercise called the pogo jump. Warren's going to be on the balls of his feet. He's going to move up and down as quick as he can, jumping up and down as quick as he can, pulling the toes up towards the knees, keeping the knees locked the whole time. We found that this exercise helps stimulate the nervous system, and it really creates a great plyometric effect, increases core temperature, and really gets an athlete warmed up. Pogos. We'll do this for periods of 10 seconds and try to maximize repetitions in those 10 seconds. Great. This next pogo jump is for height. Greater altitude, we're going to increase the amount of force going into the ground through the ankle complex and also improve the ability to jump higher. Knees stay locked. The next exercise is called the wide out. What we're going to do is get in a quarter squat position. We're going to work on the lateral muscles of the body, the abductors and adductors, the groin and the outside of the leg here. And we're going to open and close our legs as fast as we can, stretching those muscles, getting some blood flow to them. Wide outs. Body stays constant, shoulders and hips are at the same height the whole time. This next exercise is called the gate swing. What we're going to do here is really work on stretching the groin in a dynamic fashion. We're going to start off in a squat position, hands on knees. All your weight is on the balls of your feet. We're going to open and close the knees in a dynamic, jumping, controlled fashion, and we're going to sink in between each rep. Gate swing. Ready? Open and sink, open and sink. Staying on the balls of the feet and coming down into the sink position. This next exercise is called the scissor jump. What we want to work on here is a little more of the flexibility of the lower extremities, and it's really a highly coordinated based exercise, a little bit more advanced. We're going to start off in a power position, running position, arms at 90 degrees, front foot, left foot forward, right foot back, and we're going to jump and switch and scissor the legs. Ready? Nice sink, good arm action, arms at 90. Nice and light on the feet, no crashing. In addition to the toe-up position, proper arm mechanics are critical to running fast. What we want to do when we practice arm mechanics is, one, keep the elbow locked at 90 degrees, firm position at 90. The hands, fingers are extended in the open position. The shoulders relaxed and down, depressed, and we want to work at the shoulder, moving the hand well behind the pocket and back up to a little bit above the chin. So we want to work it in place right now, rotating at the shoulder, driving the elbow back, pulling the hand behind the pocket, and letting the thumb and wrist rise above the chin. You know, before you can run with perfect form, you have to skip with perfect form. We already reviewed the foot placement and foot mechanics, as well as arm mechanics. Now we're going to address knee drive and how we're going to really incorporate all these techniques into one movement. Here at the Parisi School, we really feel skipping is a form of over-exaggerated running, and it's crucial to attaining proper running technique. Next thing we're going to work on is the lateral aspect of the warm-up. what we see at the Parisi School is not many kids working on the lateral aspect of warming up. Lateral movement is very important in almost every sport. When we work on lateral aspect, first thing we want to get low, drop the center of gravity. Very important. Back is flat, shoulders in front of the hips. We're going to move laterally. We're going to work on the ab and adductors of the legs, the interior area, the groin, and the outside of the legs. We're going to move quickly, pop off the ground, make sure the feet and shoulders are staying pointed straight ahead. Moving along with our lateral movement, next thing we're going to focus on is the side run. Here at the Parisi School, we've eliminated the karaoke movement because we realized in sport, when do you cross behind with your feet? In the side run, we're always going to focus on staying on the balls of our feet, staying low, and always crossing over in the front of our body. So we're going to be in the athletic position. Martin's in the power position. We're going to side run laterally, moving slowly. And because he's staying low and crossing over in front, at any point in time, he can stop, change direction, come back the other way. Next exercise is a linear movement. We're going to work on what we call the backward cycle. We're going to stay on the balls of our feet, ankles cocked up in the dorsiflex position. We're going to stay tall. This is a dynamic flexibility exercise for the hip flexors. Keep the chest up. We're going to bring our heel up to our buttocks and really extend backwards and get a full range of motion with our hip, extending our hip all the way back. Backward cycle. The next movement we're going to do here in the warm-up is called the lunge walk, something that we use to assess strength, flexibility, and balance. What's really key in this movement is to attain proper arm mechanics throughout the entire movement. We're going to take a nice large step forward, working on balance, and we're going to continue that walk. This next exercise is called the side lunge. This movement is great because it's really going to help develop the flexibility of the lower body. It really is a great indicator of strength endurance, core strength, holding this position. We're going to stretch out maximally as far as he can to his left, and we're going to walk down the field laterally, keeping both feet pointed straight ahead. Side lunge. Now we're on the floor, we're going to work on muscle activation. First thing we're going to do is something called hip pop-ups. We're going to really drive all of our force through the heels of the feet, and we're going to drive our hips as high as we can in the air, really activating the glutes and the hamstrings. Hip pop-ups. The next exercise, simple enough, is single leg hip pop-ups. A little bit more focus and isolation, one leg at a time. Single leg hip pop-ups. Okay, now the next exercise is going to be working dynamic flexibility of the hamstring, and we're actually going to be working muscle activation of the hip flexor. We want the legs to be straight. We're going to do a single leg raise, one leg at a time, keeping the knee straight, activating the hip flexor, stretching the hamstring. Single leg raise. This next exercise is called the outside leg raise. Really important when we do this movement is when we raise the leg, we want to actually keep the toe dorsiflexed, but imagine your foot is a glass of water and you want to pour water out of the tip of the big toe. The reason for this is we really want to activate the glute medius, which is a hip stabilizer muscle. This exercise really is important to activate that muscle, get blood flow to it, and really get those hips warmed up and get those muscles strong. Outside leg raise. Now we're going to focus on the inside leg raise, really focusing on the adductors. We're going to bend the top leg at the knee, put the foot flat on the ground. The athlete grabs his ankle with his hand, makes it nice and snug. Bottom leg is straight. We're going to raise the bottom leg, keeping the foot dorsiflexed, really activating the inside leg muscles, the groin area. Inside leg raise. Okay, this next movement, we're going to work the lower back, the erector spinae. We're going to activate this muscle group by raising the opposite arm with the opposite leg. That's the name of the exercise. Be sure not to put force into the ground with the leg and the arms that's staying on the ground. Opposite leg, opposite arm raise. Now we're going to do an exercise called skydivers. Basically, we're going to raise both arms and both legs off the ground. Try to keep your knees straight as possible. And again, we're really focusing down on the lower back, a muscle group that is neglected usually by most athletes. Skydivers. This next exercise is part of our hip circuit series, and basically what we're going to do here is really activate that hip rotator cuff, those muscles that help stabilize the hip. We're going to be in a bulldog position. Our arms and hands are directly under our shoulders with the elbows straight and locked. The knees are directly under the hips. We're going to start off with Martin's right leg. The heels are going to be heels are going to be up and the toes are going to be cocked. The legs coming out to the side, knees coming out to the side, trying to keep the hips parallel to the ground as much as possible. These are called the outside leg raise. This next exercise in our hip circuit series is called the forward leg circle. It's great to really open up the range of motion at the hip, get some blood flow in that area, and really help improve running. Forward leg circles. Following this movement, we're going to go right into backward leg circles. Same technique, moving in the opposite direction, ankle stays cocked, heel close to the butt. This next one is a little bit more challenging and advanced. It's the straight leg, side leg raise. Leg is out to the side, knee is straight, ankle's cocked. You're going to raise it up as high as you can, up and down. This next exercise is really going to focus again on hip mobility, getting that hip rotator cuff really warmed up and loose. We're going to drive our knee into our armpit. What we're going to do is keep our shoulders down, flat on the ground, and when Martin drives his knee up, he wants to keep that leg off the ground the whole time until he gets back to the starting position. Knee to armpit. Our next dynamic mobility movement is called the Cobra stretch. With this motion, we're going to really activate the glutes and the hamstring to pull our heel up to our opposite hand and stretch that hip flexor and quad. This is the Cobra stretch. Our next exercise is called the Iron Cross. With this motion, we're going to have our arms out to the side, palms down. We're going to swing our right leg all the way up to our left hand, keeping the knee straight, swiveling the hips to the right. Key is work on a full range of motion, turn your head the opposite way. Iron Cross. This next exercise we're going to work on is called mountain climbers. We're going to work on stretching the groin in a dynamic fashion, driving the knee into the chest one at a time. It also works on upper body strength and endurance. These are mountain climbers. This next motion is called groiners. Similar to mountain climbers, but we're going to bring the foot outside the hand and the foot is going to land flat on the ground. This is a really great groin stretch. Also works upper body strength. Now this next movement is a single leg mountain climber, a lot more difficult, a little bit more advanced, but it's really going to challenge the athlete. He's going to really drive that knee as high as he can into the chest. Again, challenging the upper body strength and endurance component. Single leg mountain climbers. Two more. Next exercise is called hurdler lead leg pickups. We're going to get into a traditional hurdler stretch position. The key is here, we're not going to put a lot of stress on this leg that's tucked back because one, it's okay to keep this knee angle open. Doesn't need to be really closed, or the heel doesn't need to be close to the butt for this movement. What we want is a nice 90-degree angle between the both legs. Toe is pointed straight up, arms are straddling the leg. We're going to pick the leg up as high as we can for 8 to 10 repetitions. Hurdler lead leg pickups. This next exercise is a dynamic mobility movement. We're going to roll over into an inside hurdler stretch position, and then we're going to come back, roll over into a V-sit position. Here we go.
We hope you enjoyed watching the Parisi warm-up method. We also hope that you start instituting some of these techniques right away with your teams. To finish this video, we're going to allow you to see our training staff training some of the top college athletes in the country. We hope you like it, and we hope that you get out there and start training right away.